So talk about chaos and confusion for the start of race 2 in the BNT V8s. This is what the track, of course, looks like here at Teretonga. But as you'll see as they line up in the BP Ultimate Grid, there's a lot of gaps. A lot of winners and losers here have been caught out in the changing weather conditions. The biggest loser, Andy Booth from pit lane.
Paul Peterson also got caught out starting from pit lane.
Porter's out there, but Adam Brook is missing, so he's in trouble.
Believe it or not, our first full lineup of the grid sees Ingy Tulloch and Eddie Bow.
And right behind them, our first completely invisible grid, both Penny and Ross caught out in pit lane.
Row 6 also sees has another absentee of Kane Scott, and he's got to start from the very back of pit lane.
Timmy Edgell, he's the most frustrated. He's the first trying to get out of pit lane.
Another absentee sees Simon Richards starting from pit lane again.
Foggy, he's in trouble as well, along with Andrew Anderson, both missing in action.
Michael Bristow starting from pit lane. I'll tell you what, pit lane's going to be busy.
That includes Johnny McIntyre and Knight caught out as well. Can you believe it?
Rolling out the end of the grid is David Hopper.
We can see those grey clouds in the graphics, but let's take a look and see exactly what it looks like for real. I have never seen anything like this before.
No, and neither have I, Clint, and I doubt we ever will, to be honest.
You've got half the field out there on the grid on slicks, the other half starting in wets out of pit lane. Look at that!
We've got to keep off here. Paul Manuel, the first car on the right-hand side in the orange, is actually on slicks. Remember, he's going to have a lack of grip. No car can pass him to the start-finish line.
So now, these guys are out there. Look at Beard, he's off. And now the rest of the field funneling out of pit lane one by one.
Okay, Andrew Anderson actually has to wait till the very last car goes through. He's actually, technically, he's jumped the start by doing what he just done.
So he could be in trouble. And look at that, Kane Scott, unbelievable. He's starting from the rear of the grid, but he had a big advantage over McIntyre.
Yeah, Paul Manuel on slick tyres. We've also just been told as well, Angus Fogg is on slick tyres.
Of course, they have 10 minutes for the warm-up and a new rule this year as well, Mork.
It's up to the teams now to decide in these kind of trying conditions if they run the wet or slick tyre. In previous years, the clerk of the course would make... That's what we're referring to at the start of the race here, Clinton, we saw Andrew jump the start. In previous years, the clerk of the course made the decision for the teams. You either had to run slicks or wets. Okay, now it's up to the teams, and that's what we saw. When the cars go out in the formation lap, they actually have a 10-minute window where they can come in and out of the pits. Once the 10 minutes is exceeded, pit lane shuts. Any cars that are still in pit lane have to start from pit lane like we just saw.
On board with Andrew Porter. Which guys are on slicks in the wets? Whoa, look at that, straight off the elbow. I suppose that's the problem with the gamble, you know, on a wet track, you start on slicks and you just slide straight off.
In Invercargill, Teretonga, one of the best circuits in here in the world. Oh, look at this, 4 abreast. Oh, come on.
Boothie, down the outside alongside Timmy Edgell.
Oh, this is fantastic.
3 wide into the loop. It is a wet race at the moment. All these guys really just caught out and now just driving their pants off them to try and get back into this race.
Look at the car control from Michael Bristow. You can hear him just feathering the throttle, feeding it in, backing it up, feeding it back in.
Andy Booth will be very worried too because Craig Beard's cleared off in front and that could be a huge difference in the battle between 3rd and 4th. Problems there for Mac Peach and also Dale Williams in the other SCG racing car. He's under pressure from Booth and now Peterson round the outside.
Keep in mind, it's actually the first time that a lot of these drivers have driven one of these V8 cars in proper wet weather conditions as we've seen now. Dale Williams is one of them. He's come out of PRS, fantastic result there being the champion. This is a whole new ball game to him.
Foggy's on slicks, so he'll be hoping it dries out. Peterson right up to his bumper. Edgell under attack. Manuel's out there, he's on slicks as well.
You see Angus Fogg there in the LG car moving to the left-hand side of the screen. He knows these other guys are on wets. He knows he hasn't got the pace at the moment while the circuit's still wet. When this thing dries out, we'll watch him. He'll make a lot of time up quick. Paul Peterson down the inside, great move.
And right behind him, look at that, the Big Ben Commodore of Booth. He's on the move.
Yeah, that's what happens. You run a little bit wide, all of a sudden the freight train comes through.
Sun's coming out.
You hear that? Hear that down change? That's Angus come into the corner in 3rd, had to change to 2nd just to keep some drive going. Look at Paul Peterson over the back of Manuel. Once again, keep in mind the car in the front here is on slick tyres. Paul Peterson's on wets.
Different driving lines?
It's only because he's on wets and dries. That's what's creating the difference that we see there.
Sliding up in front, Johnny McIntyre. That's the view from Kane Scott. He's trying to put a move on Hepburn. He almost gets turned around, but regathers.
You can see from the footage that was going to happen because 3 cars into one never ever is going to work in these conditions.
Manuel's lost another spot there as Fogg gets the jitters under the slipping and sliding here at Teretonga on those slicks.
I'd have to say, by the looks of things, Eddie Bow would probably be slicks as well.
Man, what a race. Unbelievable conditions.
Yeah, Timmy Edgell. Now see here, we've got 2 cars, both on slick tyres, 2 guys behind them on wets trying to feed their way through. You see in the mirror there, Timmy Edgell coming down the inside of Michael Bristow. Wait for it. Is he going to come through? I'm looking around trying to see. Here he is. You got 1, 2 places.
So there's the cars on wets at the moment with the advantage. Bristow also getting in right in behind Edgell. Fogg staying out of trouble.
What's interesting now, one thing that's absent that we saw in the first couple of laps is the lot of spray coming off. When the cars are offline, you see the spray come off. On the racing line, there isn't any now.
On board with Simon Richards.
What we're going to see now, we're going to see some really, really strange or unique lines out there. The reason being, the guys on slicks looking for the dry parts of the circuit. The guys on wets are still looking for the wet parts to help cool the tyres off.
Conserve those tyres for the 10 laps. Richards trying to nail him through the brickyard, sliding, regathering, down towards the elbow.
Let's have a listen here. First gear. Just hear the car just starting to wheel spin. Amazing drive off the corner.
Edgell, he's flying down the inside of Manuel. Bristow also making moves. Back on board with Johnny McIntyre.
The rain we've seen on the windscreen of Johnny McIntyre's car is not from the sky. It's actually coming off from the circuit. You know, we can just start to see the middle of the camera footage there, starting to get a dry line. The guys on slicks, the Paul Manuels, the Angus Foggs, this actually might start playing into their favour now.
Well, it's like a race of 2 halves, isn't it? A wet sort of start, then a dry finish.
It is. Invercargill is a magnificent circuit, and because of the texture of the track, the circuit has the ability to dry in 10 or 15 minutes. Therefore, it can just transform the whole complexity of a race.
Remember, Kane Scott, he's right behind Johnny McIntyre. Started this race with a 55-point lead, but man, that's changed. These guys are all on wets here. McIntyre just can't find a way around Adam Brook.
No, I think he'll go up high and watch him cut underneath. Okay, right here, I think you're going to see Johnny McIntyre just disappear on the inside. No, stood to be corrected.
What a ringside seat that is. Talk about driving in the rearview mirror. And from the windscreen, they're looking for the dry line or the wet line. We'll take a break, don't go away. Talk about a humdinger in the BNT V8s. Welcome back to the Southern 200. This is your race leader, Craig Baird. He's just absolutely cleared off from the field. And remember, he's on wet tyres too.
Keep in mind, Craig had to actually get a good lead, or the biggest lead he could, because he knows the circuit's going to dry up. He knows there's fast competition out there on slick tyres.
Talk about having a great race. Chris Adams from Mosgiel. All sorts of drama in Timaru. And look at this, he's running 3rd on the road at the moment. He'll be absolutely wrapped with that in the Master Trade Commodore, especially after all the problems they've had. Inky Tulloch's up in 2nd place, the Southern man up in front as well. The local fans will be loving that, looking at all these superstars down the back of the field.
Just keeping an eye on Angus Fogg here. He's right in this battle, but he's not getting hurried out, and you can see the circuit definitely drying. Another 3 or 4 laps, we're going to see Angus Fogg, and I believe Paul Manuel start coming into their own.
Simon Richards right behind him. Takes him down the inside, but Foggy's playing that waiting game, keeping an eye on the track and the weather.
If you look in the background, you'll see there's a row of trees behind you. That part of the circuit takes a long time to dry, just because of the shade content, the lack of wind. This part of the circuit will dry very quickly.
John Petty, look at Fogg! Oh! Caught out in the slicks that time. So perhaps that track's not drying enough at the moment for these guys on slicks. Look at Manuel under pressure here.
But you see what happened? See, 2 or 3 laps ago, Manuel got swamped down a straight line. Now you see him out accelerating the cars on wet tyres. That's because the circuit is drying sufficiently enough. Not in the corners yet, but in the straight line for sure.
So the drivers just have to try and pick where they've actually got to try and make their moves because of the different sort of grip they're getting at different parts of the corner.
Exactly right.
Well, a V8 game of chess today. Unbelievable, staggering stuff, BNT V8s. Roll the dice. Half of them caught out in pit lane, the other half from the starting grid. Now changing conditions. Nothing's changing for this guy. He's racing away with another win in the BNT V8s. Craig Baird just cannot believe his luck. Look at the locals here. They'll be cheering on Inky Tulloch.
Here comes Paul Pedersen.
And Booth.
Booth's out an outstanding drive. He started from pit lane.
Also having an outstanding drive, Chris Adams with Paul Pedersen right alongside of him.
We can't underestimate how good a job Chris Adams has done here. He started from towards the front of the field after a lot of guys started from pit lane. Okay, it's a wet track. He's done a fantastic job. He stayed out of trouble, letting the fast guys through. But as we see here, he's actually not dropping that much away from them in the corner.
Big question is, has this guy, Craig Baird, at car number 27 United Video Ford, got enough of a lead to hold on and take third place in the championship?
I think so. He's established enough of a lead in the early part of the race that those guys have to not only catch up, but hopefully Craig makes a mistake.
Whoa, look at that. What's that, smoke?
Yeah, it looks like some kind of oil, maybe engine or gearbox. We know that car had a gearbox leak in race 1. Maybe it's come back to haunt him in race 2 as well.
So is there another twist in the tail yet to come? Boothie on the chart gets past Chris Adams.
Think about that smoke with Craig Baird's car. There are one or two things I believe could happen. One, it may run out of oil and stop. The second one is the officials may deem it unsafe and bring it in.
Gary, a little bit of smoke coming out of Craig's car. Is it a concern?
Everything's a concern, but it's not a major. There's a little weep out of the gearbox, which falls directly on the joint of the Y pipe of the exhaust, and that's the hottest part. So it looks worse than I'm hoping it really is.
Great, thanks, Gary.
Everything is a concern, the understatement of the weekend. I've never seen so many worried looks in the faces of the team managers. Wet, dry, slicks, wet. Look at Scott now.
Gosh, so much run down the outside. That's how you make 3 places up in a blink of an eye.
Round the Total Lubricants Commodore of Nick Ross, the 007 car. All the way around the sweeper. He loves this track.
He may actually stay there as well.
Remember, he had all that drama in race 1. Eventually brought home a sick car in 13th place.
It's John Penny around the outside.
And what a great effort by JP. And that's actually Kane Scott's old Commodore. So there they are, bumper to bumper.
You can definitely see the track. See what I'm referring to, how it's actually drying? Watch the car here, the bright orange one in the photo right now. Okay, still believe he's going to be the one to watch as the race progresses.
And also you notice that the windscreen wipers, not much action now. So the track is definitely drying out. So advantage swings back to the guys on slicks. These guys are on wets here.
They are. So we're going to start seeing some really unique lines now. The guys on wets are going to be searching for all the wet part of the circuit as they can.
Look at Scott searching for the wet stuff on the inside of the track, even onto the grass almost.
Yeah, look, Nick come across to defend the line. Kane still had the run on them. Good job.
Great shots on board the BNT V8s.
He done the right thing there by backing out and actually trying to tuck in behind Kane, because if he had started out wide, JP might have gone straight down the inside of him.
Well, now JP, John Penny, right round the outside. Look at Manuel, trying to make a move on the inside of the loop, the sweeper. So it's Scott, Ross, John Penny, Manuel, Richards in there as well. Definitely drying out. You can see the sunny conditions of the track, a definite race line there. So will the advantage now be back with Manuel? Look at him hounding JP. Just a lap ago, he was under pressure.
It's amazing how quick this thing turns around, wasn't it? Like 3 or 4 laps ago, the guys on slicks are in the way. Now it seems to be the guys on wets are in the way.
That's why all those worried frown lines are on the faces of the team managers. Heavens above, what do we do? Andy Knight just getting a little bit of a tap from Andrew Anderson, trying to muscle his way through the field as well. He got caught out in pit lane. Now Manuel's on the charge.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's the difference between slicks and wets.
3 wide down to the loop. Who's got the big ones? Hang on to him. I think it's Manuel.
I think Manuel's certainly got the bigger ones by the looks of things.
And look at that, he's starting to pull away. He's on a move.
Yeah, right now he'd be at least maybe 2.5, 3, even maybe possibly 4 seconds lap quicker than the guys on wet tyres. Look at him, he's just getting sucked into the back of Kane's car.
Amazing shots. Look at the speed of Manuel now. He's on autopilot.
He's just going to pick Kane off whenever he wants. It's just at will now. Is it going to be that easy for him?
It's like a BNT V8 video game right now for him. Here we go. Someone's knocking on the door. Anyone home?
See the back of Kane's car moving around a bit. That's the wet tyre starting to go off in these drying conditions.
And he's going to go right round the outside of the elbow and still take him.
You watch here, I reckon he'll pull out probably 7 or 8 car lengths by the time we get to the end of the back straight.
Big dog fight further back down the field. Fogg got caught out there. Ross is under pressure, so Fogg, remember, he's on slicks, so he'll want to try and pick up the pace as well. Just needs some racing room.
It's like start of a horse race, isn't it? You're jogging for positions. You can't go one way or the other because you're completely boxed in. Give him a lap or so, he'll be through.
It's the tortoise and the hare, and these guys are the tortoises turning into hares. And a hairy ride too in the BNT V8s.
2, 3, 4, that's 7 or 8 good hits there.
There's the Morse code, is it?
That is. Hey, I'm coming through. A little bit wide. Oh, here we go.
Simon Richards regathers. So that's the problem, what, with the wet tyres just going off without the grip and the heat.
It is. What's going to be interesting is what the judicial people think of that, because Andy Knight really did push Simon Richards off and made a couple of places up. They may deem that to be a little bit beyond a racing incident. They may call him in.
Let's take a look at that moment. It's the Hydrolink best under pressure moment. Simon Richards keeping cool under pressure too. Big V8 sandwich. Andy Knight right up, pulling up to his bumper. Little bit of a tap. Sends Richards sideways, then sneaks up the inside. Richards regathers from the grass. Slides it back in. Eddie Bell gets the hell out of there. Now Knight's right up behind Nick Ross, and he's given him a bit more Morse code.
Unfortunately, we're not seeing the true potential from Angus Fogg on the slick tyres in this race. Because he's caught in this big battle with 3 or 4 cars in front of him on wet tyres, he doesn't really have any options to try to get through.
Knight trying to muscle his way past again. Fogg, look at that! Oh! Clips on the side of Andrew Anderson.
Just making the car a bit lighter. We saw the wing mirror there get flown off.
So it's amazing how Manuel's been able to clear out on those slicks, but Fogg is under pressure here. Just can't get away from this dodgems.
Yeah, he's just boxed in that group, as I was saying. He doesn't really have any options, nowhere to go.
Whoa,
oh.
Andy Knight! Well, he's got somewhere to go, and it's onto the grass.
Yeah, and that's just these cars in these conditions getting caught out.
Well, he sent a few Morse codes now. He's got his own SOS. Round there towards the elbow. Williams out wide. Ross running
Watch
wide.
Angus Fogg here, right down the inside. 2 places, just like that.
A little bit of blocking going on, so Foggy goes for the clear run and gets it.
He does.
Talking about a clear run, Craig Beard cannot believe his luck. It's like flying solo at the moment for him.
Car's still smoking a bit though.
Nursing it, bringing it home, looking after those tyres, keeping the wets cool in the drying conditions.
You see, that's what Gary is referring to. You see how the oil's actually coming down onto the exhaust and burning off? It's not going on the circuit, hence why they probably haven't brought that car in.
Adam Brook. Whoa, more drama there for... Whoa, look at that, 2 of them. Nick Ross and Dale Williams collect.
It's like an Olympic sport of pure spinning, isn't it?
Well, the Stabby Craft boats are made just down the road here in Southland, so I suppose he would have really enjoyed the wet conditions at the start.
Just broken the accelerator cable. Try and get around, mate, if you can. If not, take her off. All right, mate, that's cool.
Drama there for the SCG racing team with Mac Peach parking it. Let's take a look at what happens to his teammate. That's Adam Brook in front. Now, watch out for Dale Williams. He comes through the inside. There's Nick Ross. Just a little bit of a tap. And then Ross comes back around, taps it back and into a synchronised V8 slow-mo.
It's almost a 9 out of 10, isn't it?
Not for the drivers. They could do without that sort of drama. Last lap, Craig Beard. And what must he be thinking after those DNFs early in the season cost him some valuable points? And here he is making the late charge.
Showing a clean set of heels, hasn't he?
On target for the win. And what about this guy, Johnny McIntyre?
He'll be another man thinking. Gave away the race win yesterday with a technicality. Paul Manuel, we saw him win a race at Pukekohe. Looking to make inroads in this race now.
I tell you what he's thinking. Get out of my way, Johnny. I want to get up to 6th.
Okay, we just had reports. Paul Manuel at the moment is now the fastest man on the circuit by 2 seconds a lap.
Got the orange Commodore screaming as B&O takes the win. Boothie second, great drive. Inky Tulloch coming home in third.
Absolutely fantastic result for Inky Tulloch, coming home third in trying conditions.
So all that driver training from Johnny McIntyre's paid off. Boothie, well, unbelievable, from pit lane up to second. Great drive too by Chris Adams coming home in 8th. Foggy ended up 10th just in front of Kane Scott. Of course, he keeps his series lead, but he's lost ground.